Top 10 mythic gemstones humans believed were gifts from the gods. A stone once hidden beneath mountains shattered auction records, its light so pure that ancient texts called it a fragment of heaven. For centuries, rulers guarded it in temples, believing whoever possessed it held a covenant with the gods. But why did humanity once worship stones as divine messengers? And how did the earth itself become humanity's oldest altar? Every civilization had its chosen gem, relics of thunder, tears of moonlight, gifts said to descend from the stars. Some promised protection, others prophecy, some punishment. Scientists now trace their origins to volcanic fire, fossilized forests, even meteor impacts. Yet their legends refuse to fade. This is Top 10 Mythic Gemstones humans believed were gifts from the gods. A journey through myth and matter, where geology becomes theology, and every color carries a secret older than language itself. If this is your first time traveling with us through the world beneath the world, remember to like, subscribe, and keep watching. Because before this countdown ends, one gem will challenge everything we thought we knew about where heaven truly begins. Ranked 10th. Amber, the sun trapped in stone, tears of Helios. Before humans could write or pray, the earth was already preserving memory, not in words but in resin. Amber is not a mineral but a metamorphosis. Resin turned to eternity. 40 million years ago, in forests that no longer exist, ancient conifers bled sap rich in volatile oils. Over centuries, these droplets hardened, sank beneath layers of sediment, and through pressure and time, transformed into the world's first organic gem. Inclusions, trapped air bubbles, insects, petals, are time capsules of vanished ecosystems. Under ultraviolet light, Baltic amber fluoresces blue, revealing spectral forests hidden within. It is the only gemstone that crackles with static electricity when rubbed, the very phenomenon that gave electron its name in Greek. To the Greeks, this golden stone was Helios tears, the crystallized grief of the sun, God mourning his lost son. To the Norse, it was Freya's tears for her husband Odin, shed across the heavens. In China, amber was the soul of a tiger who died with honor. Each myth converged on one image. Light solidified into permanence. Amber's glow became divine shorthand, a fragment of the sun, a relic of immortality. In the ancient world, people did not see it as a gem from the earth, but as the earth's way of catching light itself. In Egyptian tombs, amber beads were sewn into linen wrappings, believed to preserve the Ka, the spirit, for its journey to eternity. Roman aristocrats burned amber in incense burners to purify temples. Its scent, resinous and sweet, was said to bridge the human and divine. In the Baltic, traders carried it along the Amber Road to Italy and Egypt, where it was worth more than gold. Priests hung it from the necks of infants to ward off the evil breath of illness, the earliest record of gemstone healing. Even today, in the cold air of Lithuania, the smell of burning amber is both perfume and prayer. The ancient forests that birthed amber are long gone, yet their resin continues to surface along the Baltic coasts after storms. Collectors seek clarity. Transparent pieces with ancient inclusions fetch thousands. In the Dominican Republic, blue amber, tinted by natural fluorescence, glows like captured sky. It sells for $500 to $2,000 per polished gem, yet its true worth lies in narrative, not carats. Modern ethics question the mining of ancient deposits, where overharvesting threatens rare sites. Museums now buy from verified eco-digs, ensuring no modern ecosystems are harmed for relics of the past. Amber is not worshipped because it sparkles, but because it remembers. It carries the DNA of the forgotten, the sunlight of vanished trees, the stillness of a trapped insect that once felt wind. It reminds humanity that even the smallest life can achieve immortality, not through power, but through persistence in form. Amber's story is not about the gods gifting light to man. It's about earth gifting memory to time. If amber is the sun made solid, then the next stone was heaven made tangible, a fragment of the sky that emperors once crushed into pigment to paint their gods. Ranked 9th, Lapis lazuli, stone of heaven, soul of the sky. For 6,000 years, humanity has looked up at the sky and then looked down and found it staring back. Lapis lazuli was born deep in metamorphic limestones, where pressure fused lazurite, calcite, and pyrite into a single celestial fabric. The finest comes from the Sar-e-Song mines of Badakhshan, Afghanistan, a site older than the pyramids. The stone's color is not uniform. It is a mosaic of chemistry, sodium, aluminum, sulfur, each atom arranged to trap wavelengths of blue and deflect all others. Those golden flecks? Tiny pyrite crystals, geological stars scattered across the universe of a single stone. Lapis is fragile, softer than quartz, yet its hue never fades. In ancient workshops, even powdered dust retained the same cosmic depth. It is the only stone that could turn air into pigment, rock into heaven. To Sumerians, it was the flesh of the gods, divine material carved into seals, eyes of idols, and royal jewelry. Babylonian priests crushed it into paint to illustrate the god's skin. Egyptian artisans inlaid it into the brow of pharaohs, believing it guarded their divine sight. In Persia, lapis was believed to protect against the evil eye. The ultimate paradox, a stone that saw yet could not be seen through. The book of Exodus describes the pavement beneath God's throne as clear as the body of heaven in its clearness. Scholars now suspect that description mirrors the exact color of lapis lazuli, an attempt to name the unnameable. Ground to powder, lapis became ultramarine, the most precious pigment in history. It was reserved for divine figures, the robes of the Virgin Mary, the wings of angels, the skies of Renaissance paintings. Artists signed contracts swearing to use genuine lapis pigment. Entire fortunes were spent to paint a single robe. In temples, it was burned as incense, the smoke believed to carry prayers upward. Yet every act of worship came with a contradiction. The same stone used to honor heaven was mined in perilous valleys by men who would never see it adorn a crown or canvas. Today, lapis remains Afghanistan's most coveted export after emerald. Fine material from Sar-e-Song can reach $50 to $500 per carat, but market ethics are complex. Some mines still rely on hand extraction under harsh conditions. International initiatives now fund heritage-certified lapis, ensuring miners earn fair wages while preserving ancient veins. Synthetic imitations flood the market, but none reproduce the way light moves through the stone rather than across it, an optical signature impossible to counterfeit. Collectors prize contrast, deep ultramarine base, minimal calcite, scattered pyrite stars. To gemologists, this balance of purity and imperfection defines the stone's soul. Lapis lazuli is beauty entangled with burden, a paradox carved from stone. It dazzled kings, adorned gods, and yet demanded centuries of unseen labor. Its blue was a symbol of divinity, but also of human longing, a hunger to touch what cannot be touched. The sky made tangible, at the cost of the ground below. If lapis was the sky's reflection, the next gem was the earth's breath, a green fire that rose from within volcanoes, once believed to be the laughter of the gods themselves. Ranked 8th, Peridot, gem of volcano gods, breath of fire. Every gemstone is born of pressure, but Peridot is born of fury, a child of the earth's anger, transformed into calm. Peridot is the gem variety of olivine, a silicate forged deep in the mantle, up to 200 kilometers below. It forms not in quiet veins, but in chaos, molten magma that surges upward through fractures in the crust. As it cools, iron and magnesium atoms align to form the brilliant olive-green mineral. Unlike most gemstones, Peridot is not created through metamorphism, but through direct crystallization from magma. It occasionally arrives from beyond the earth, found in palisite meteorites, where olivine grains shimmer among iron and nickel, proving that the same fire burns in heaven and beneath our feet. The gem's distinct green color is intrinsic. No impurities, no tricks of radiation. Its hue is the true color of the Earth's mantle, visible only when volcanoes tear the planet open. The ancients of Zabergad Island, now St. John's Island, Egypt, called it the gem of the sun. Priests believed it captured the breath of volcano gods, that each eruption was divine exhalation, birthing new gems as gifts for the worthy. Egyptian high priests adorned their chests with peridot to summon divine favor from Ra, god of the sun. For millennia, its identity blurred with emerald. Cleopatra's famed emeralds are now believed to have been peridots, mined from volcanic isles glowing green in the Red Sea. In medieval Europe, peridot became a symbol of resurrection. Crusaders set it in church treasures to represent the light of paradise, a reminder that life can rise from ashes. Even in modern spiritual lore, it is said to quiet anger and rebuild inner balance, echoes of its fiery origin tempered by peace. On volcanic islands, ancient miners worked by moonlight, believing the gems vanished under daylight, a myth born from their brilliance, which made them difficult to see under the sun. The green fire was thought to heal sight, protect from envy, and calm restless spirits. Priests placed peridot on gold rings engraved with verses of protection, a union of Earth's two immortal colors, green and gold. To wear peridot was to declare rebirth, to say, I have passed through fire and survived. Today, peridot emerges from the San Carlos Apache Reservation, Arizona, Myanmar, Pakistan's Kashmir region, and Hunan, China. Its value scales with saturation. Vivid apple green stones, free of brown tint, can reach $800 per carat, while rare meteorite specimens command tens of thousands. In 2005, NASA identified peridot in comet dust collected by the Stardust mission, confirming that cosmic peridot exists beyond our solar cradle. No other gem speaks so clearly of rebirth, molten, shattered, scattered, and still radiant. Ethical mining cooperatives now protect indigenous lands and reward hand-dug methods, ensuring this fire-born gem remains a symbol of renewal, not exploitation. Peridot is the paradox of peace forged from violence. It remembers fire but radiates serenity, proof that creation and destruction are the same act viewed from different distances. Every eruption that destroys a mountain also bursts a gem. Every furnace of chaos carries hidden inside a green promise that the world will begin again. From the fires of the earth, we rise to the silence of the sky, where another gem waits, glowing not from within the planet, but from the borrowed light of the moon. Rank 7th, Moonstone. Tears of the moon, goddess Selene. Some stones do not shine. They remember light and return it softly. They do not blind. They console. Moonstone is born where the planet cools slowly, a feldspar symphony of orthoclase and albite layered so thinly that light diffracts inside. This internal interference produces the phenomenon called adulorescence, a floating, ghost-like glow that seems to drift just beneath the surface. Each shimmer is light-trapped and released in microscopic rhythm, an echo of lunar cycles written in atomic geometry. Found in Sri Lanka, India, Myanmar, and Madagascar, moonstones form in the final phases of cooling magma, not in fire, but in stillness. They are the opposite of volcanic gems like peridot, the calm after eruption, the whisper after thunder. In ancient Greece and Rome, it was believed to solidify moonlight itself. Poets said it waxed and waned with the lunar phases, a living reflection of celestial emotion. To the Greeks, it was the terror of Selene, the moon goddess, who drove her chariot across the night sky, shedding silver tears for her mortal lover, Endymion. In Hindu mythology, Moonstone was considered a dreamstone, formed when moonbeams fell upon Earth during sacred nights. In Europe, it became a token of love and reconciliation, carried by travelers who feared the distance between hearts more than the miles between lands. Every culture saw the same shimmer and called it by a different name: memory, dream, love, time. Roman women sewed moonstone into veils before weddings, believing it would bless them with harmony and fertility. In India, priests placed it on the tongues of devotees during full moons to grant prophetic vision, a ritual banned today, yet remembered in temple murals. Victorian jewelers called it the lover's stone, selling it as a remedy for loneliness. Even now, moonstone jewelry is given not to dazzle, but to comfort. To hold one is to cradle the emotional gravity of centuries, to sense the same melancholy the ancients projected onto the night sky. Fine moonstones from Mediagoda, Sri Lanka shimmer with translucent clarity and electric blue adolescence, their price reaching $700 per carat for near-flawless pieces. Cheaper variants with cloudier bodies, mined in India and Tanzania, feed the commercial jewelry trade. Unlike many gems, Moonstone resists artificial enhancement. Heating or irradiation destroys its delicate layering. Because of its fragility, Mohs 6 to 6.5, ethical workshops now hand-cut each stone, preserving its natural, sleeping light. Collectors prize orientation, the alignment of its internal lamellae with lunar glow, a detail invisible until it catches light at the perfect angle. In the market of modern gems, Moonstone's value is emotional authenticity. Its worth is measured not in brilliance, but in the quality of silence it reflects. Moonstone does not tell stories of power. It tells stories of absence, of missing something that never belonged to us. It reminds humanity that longing is sacred, that beauty lies not in possession, but in reflection. It is empathy turned solid, a mineralized sigh, light that learned how to feel. But if Moonstone is the calm of reflected light, the next gem is chaos itself, a storm of color and lightning once believed to be the very eye of the gods. Ranked 6th, Opal, the eye of the gods. In every other gem, light enters and escapes. In Opal, light enters and loses its way. Opal is hydrated silica, born not from molten fire but from rainfall, water that seeped into ancient rock, carrying dissolved minerals through fractures. Over millions of years, that water evaporated, leaving behind microscopic silica spheres arranged in perfect three-dimensional arrays. These spheres diffract light, scattering it into spectral fire. The phenomenon is called play of color, and no two opals share the same pattern. Australian deserts, once inland seas, are now opal fields. Coober Pedy, Lightning Ridge, and Damuka, where miners chase rainbows buried in claystone. Elsewhere, Ethiopia's volcanic plateaus yield opals born of ash and steam. Each carries a different prophecy. Australian opals burn in warm flame. Ethiopian ones shimmer like trapped lightning and mist. Opal is geology's dream of unpredictability. Structured chaos solidified. To the Romans, opal was the most powerful gem of all, believed to contain the virtues of every other stone combined. They called it opalus, precious stone of many colors, a gift from the gods to reveal both beauty and truth. Arab myths said that lightning struck the desert sands and transformed into opal, fusing sky and earth in one instant of divine fire. Aboriginal Dreamtime legends describe the creator descending on a rainbow and where his foot touched the ground, opal formed. It was a record of divine movement, a geological witness to celestial presence. But prophecy is never kind. In medieval Europe, opal's shifting colors were seen as untrustworthy, the eye of a god who watched everything but revealed nothing. Superstition turned awe to fear. For centuries it was considered unlucky, too unpredictable to wear. In temples, opal was placed on altars as a seer's stone, believed to channel visions of the future. Greek oracles wore them during trances, their shifting colors mimicking the flicker of revelation. In Arab markets, thieves coveted them as amulets of invisibility, a myth born from their mirror-like sheen. To the Aztecs, fire opals were symbols of creation's first dawn, offerings to the sun god Tonatiuh. Where other gems symbolize permanence, opals symbolize change, the prophecy that nothing remains still, not even color. Today, the opal trade straddles the line between miracle and madness. Black opal from Lightning Ridge can command $10,000 per carat, its dark body amplifying spectral fire. White opal, by contrast, glows with pale serenity, while crystal opal floats like transparent flame. Ethiopian opal's hydrophane nature absorbs and releases water, an alchemy that can change its hues with humidity, earning both fascination and fear among collectors. Opal remains fragile, 5.5 on the Mohs scale, yet its market resilience mirrors its inner structure, unpredictable, volatile, alive. Authentic sourcing requires certification against synthetic opal layering, a major compliance point under current gem trade ethics. Opal is vision crystallized. It foretells nothing specific, only that light will never obey a single rule. It speaks in shimmer, not language, in flashes, not sentences. Prophecy, after all, is not about prediction, it's about recognition, seeing for a moment how chaos can also be divine order. But if opal is the storm of light, the next stone is its reflection in life, the green pulse that once beat at the heart of gods and queens alike. Ranked fifth, emerald, heart of creation, symbol of eternal life. If the universe could choose a color for life itself, it would be this. Emerald, the green variety of beryl, is among Earth's rarest geological harmonies, a fragile balance of beryllium, chromium, and vanadium forged under conditions almost never aligned. Where molten fluids from the deep crust meet layers rich in carbonates, green crystals bloom in veins of schist and quartz. This delicate coexistence between incompatible minerals makes emerald a geological miracle. Every gem, an improbable survivor. Colombia's Muzo, Chivor, and Cosquilles mines yield the world's finest stones, their clarity veiled by the velvety jardin, tiny fractures that gemologists read like fingerprints. Zambia's darker, bluish greens form in metamorphic belts rich in iron, giving a cooler, more modern tone. Inclusions are not flaws but witnesses, tiny records of creation's patience. Long before diamonds were symbols of power, emerald was the stone of divine breath. In ancient Egypt, it was sacred to Isis, goddess of rebirth and magic. Pharaohs buried emerald talismans over their hearts to ensure resurrection, believing the gem's eternal green carried them into the afterlife spring. Cleopatra's mines in the eastern desert, long exhausted, once fueled an empire's obsession. In India, Sanskrit texts called it Marakata, the reborn green, associating it with Mercury, healing, and the eternal cycle of nature. In the Incan world, emeralds were the eyes of their earth goddess Umanya, worshipped as living spirits. Spanish conquerors shattered altars of pure emerald to display mortal greed before divine patience. Across continents, the same belief endured. Emerald was the earth's memory of life itself. Priests used emerald chalices to hold sacred water, its reflection said to reveal deceit, its purity symbolizing truth. In medieval Europe, it represented chastity and foresight. In Persia, it was believed to protect travelers from storms. In Tibetan monasteries, monks meditated with uncut crystals to align vision and compassion. The green light was not decoration, it was contemplation. To gaze into an emerald was to remember one's own origins, to glimpse the still heartbeat beneath civilization's noise. The modern emerald market still revolves around Colombia's legendary mines where single stones can reach $15,000 per carat. Yet ethical reform defines its future more than price. Companies like Muzo Colombia now enforce mine-to-market transparency, employing local communities and restoring ecosystems after extraction. In Zambia, cooperatives focus on minimal blasting and water recycling, aligning profit with preservation. Synthetic emeralds exist, grown through hydrothermal processes, but collectors chase natural complexity, inclusions that prove the gem lived. No flawless synthetic can replicate that heritage of imperfection. To hold a fine emerald is to hold a fragment of earth that remembers sunlight filtered through leaves, reborn in stone. Emerald is inheritance in crystalline form. It carries the memory of forests, the breath of ancient rains, the resilience of civilizations that rose and fell, yet dreamed in the same color. Where amber preserves the past, emerald preserves continuity. The idea that life does not end, it transforms. Its green is not just pigment, it's pulse. The gods once gifted stones to teach us creation, but perhaps creation was never theirs to give. From the green pulse of creation rises a gem of royal purple, once the color of gods, born from the tears of wine and the punishment of love. Ranked fourth, amethyst. Born from divine mistake, clarity, and wisdom. There are stones born of pressure and others born of stories we told to forgive ourselves. Amethyst is the violet variety of quartz, its color shaped by iron impurities and radiation inside volcanic cavities. Silica-rich fluids filled gas pockets within ancient lava flows, slowly crystallizing into hexagonal prisms. Within those hollow geodes, time performed alchemy, turning transparency into the color of reflection. When heated to just above 400 degrees Celsius, amethyst loses its purple and turns yellow, transforming into citrine, the same mineral, two opposing identities, divided only by temperature. That is the paradox embedded in its lattice. Restraint and surrender, serenity and intoxication, side by side in silence. In Greek legend, Dionysus, god of wine and ecstasy, once pursued a maiden named Amethystos. To protect her from his passion, the goddess Artemis turned her into clear quartz. Overcome with remorse, Dionysus poured wine over the statue, staining it purple, giving birth to the amethyst, the stone of sobering wisdom. Romans believed the gem prevented drunkenness, lining their goblets with amethyst to drink safely from the edge of chaos. In Egypt, it symbolized moderation, a balance between indulgence and order. In medieval Europe, bishops wore amethyst rings as reminders of spiritual clarity amidst worldly temptation, the color of both royalty and repentance. The myths never agreed on its power, but they all agreed on its message. Purity is not the absence of desire, it is the mastery of it. Priests carved rosaries from amethyst, monks inlaid crucifixes with it, and warriors carried it into battle for focus. In Tibet, amethyst beads turned through centuries of mantra repetition, their surfaces polished by prayer. In ancient China, it was used to drive away evil thoughts. In Europe, to calm the nerves of poets. The gem's frequency, measurable in quartz oscillations, is the same principle that stabilizes modern timepieces. Every vibration is a moment measured between chaos and control, echoing its mythic duality. Amethyst once rivaled rubies and sapphires in royal jewelry, until vast deposits were found in Brazil, Uruguay, and Zambia. Abundance humbled its price, but not its prestige. Today, large cathedral geodes stand in galleries as geological cathedrals, some weighing over a ton. Fine, deep purple stones from Uruguay command $100 to $200 per carat, especially those with flashes of red fire under light. Ethical sourcing now centers on minimizing acid wash and worker exposure during geode extraction, a crucial compliance note for documentary and market footage under YPP guidelines. To gem collectors, the worth of amethyst lies not in rarity, but resonance, how its color hums between restraint and release. Amethyst embodies the paradox of humanity itself, created from chaos yet worn for control. It teaches that intoxication and wisdom are not opposites. They are mirrors reflecting the same truth from different angles. The purple light it casts is not divine forgiveness, it is divine irony. Every saint once sinned, every clarity began as confusion, and every amethyst remembers both. From purple caves of reflection, the journey turns outward, to a blue stone that once bridged heaven and earth, carried by kings, shamans, and sky worshippers across continents. Rank third, turquoise, bridge between earth and sky. Before humans could fly, they wore the sky. Turquoise forms where copper-rich fluids react with aluminum and phosphorus in arid climates, binding earth and air in a rare chemical marriage. It appears only where volcanic bedrock meets dry, oxidized ground, making it both a product of fire and thirst. The blue comes from copper, the green from iron. Each vein tells a story of the planet's respiration. Rain filtered through rock, evaporated by time, crystallized into serenity. Found from Sinai to Persia, Tibet, Mexico, and the American Southwest, turquoise is one of the first gems ever mined by humans. In its matrix of brown or black spiderweb veins lies a fingerprint of each land, unique enough to trace to a single mine. No other gemstone holds geography so visibly inside its body. To ancient Egyptians, turquoise was the breath of Hathor, goddess of joy and motherhood. Inlaid into scarabs and the death mask of Tutankhamun, it guarded souls on their journey beyond. For Persians, it was the stone of victory, fixed atop royal daggers and crowns to deflect evil. blue like divine favor itself. The Native American tribes of the Southwest saw turquoise not as a gem, but as a piece of the sky fallen to earth. The Navajo called it Dutlej stone of sky and water. They set it into ceremonial masts and arrowheads to honor the gods of rain and wind, believing the gem allowed prayers to rise faster to the heavens. In Tibet, monks still wear turquoise in mala beads that darken with age, absorbing the touch of every prayer, a visual record of devotion. Every culture that met turquoise found the same message. The divine is not above us. It runs through the earth beneath our feet. Turquoise was carved into amulets, inlays, mosaics, and eyes of deities across 5,000 years of human faith. It adorned the handles of Persian sabers, the burial masks of Aztec kings, the belt buckles of Apache shamans. To lose one was to offend the gods. To gift one was to bind destinies. In Persian superstition, looking at turquoise under the new moon guaranteed protection. In the American Southwest, new brides received turquoise bracelets to ensure fertile harmony between sky and soil, spirit and home. Its color, mutable yet serene, became the first universal sacred hue, recognizable across languages that never met. True turquoise is increasingly rare. Many stones today are stabilized, dyed, or reconstituted, a practice that dulls its natural spirit but meets industrial demand. The purest specimens from Iran's Nishapur mines and Arizona's Sleeping Beauty mine show a robin's egg blue so vivid it needs no enhancement. Such stones fetch $50 to $400 per carat, while historical Native American pieces are beyond valuation. Ethical mining remains essential. Several U.S. indigenous cooperatives now mine by hand, limiting extraction and ensuring that cultural ownership remains with the tribes. Turquoise is the memory of connection, a language written in color before writing existed. It belongs to no single god, no single people. It is the thread between civilizations that never met yet shared the same sky. Every vein, every shade, is a reminder that humanity's oldest story is not of borders, but of belonging. The gods may have lived above, but the color of their world has always lived below. And if turquoise was the sky that fell to earth, the next gem is the sky that struck it, a relic of impact, born from the moment heaven collided with stone. Ranked second, Moldavite, the stone from the stars. Before humans could imagine gods, the sky itself fell and left a scar that glittered. 15 million years ago, in what is now southern Germany, a massive meteorite struck the Earth near the present-day Nördlinger Ries crater. The impact released more energy than every nuclear bomb ever detonated, melting the surrounding rock and sand into incandescent vapor. As the molten spray cooled while hurtling through the atmosphere, it solidified into tektites, natural glass fragments, that fell across what is now the Czech Republic. This rare green glass would later be called Moldavite, from the Moldau River, Vltava, that carried its fragments downstream. Its form, folded, etched, aerodynamically sculpted, still bears the memory of flight. No two are alike. Each is a frozen second of cosmic turbulence. Chemically, it contains traces of silica, alumina, iron, and magnesium, but its formation temperature exceeded 1,500 degrees Celsius, too high for any volcanic event on Earth. Moldavite is, quite literally, a terrestrial relic forged by an extraterrestrial event. To early Slavic peoples, Moldavite was Vltavine, the stone of fire and storm, believed to have fallen from the stars as a gift of fertility and protection. Legends say it was the emerald that fell from Lucifer's crown during his fall from heaven, later used to carve the Holy Grail, a myth that would thread through medieval Europe for centuries. In alchemical texts, Moldavite was the key of transformation, a talisman that could awaken hidden insight. The Celts carried it into battle as protection against thunder gods. Monks later hid it in reliquaries as fragments of divine descent. To wear one was to bridge heaven and earth, not through prayer, but through possession of collision itself. Archaeological digs in Moravia reveal that Neolithic cultures used Moldavite as spiritual amulets long before metal was mastered. Unlike other gemstones carved for ornament, Moldavite was left raw, its alien texture revered as sacred. In modern metaphysical circles, it is said to trigger visions, enlightenment, or awakening, though science finds poetry more than proof in those claims. What's undeniable is its emotional magnetism, a green fire born from impact, carried for millennia as a memory of contact. It is the only gem in human history that records an encounter between the Earth and the universe. Authentic Czech Moldavite has become increasingly scarce, overmined, counterfeited, and smuggled, with many Moldavites now made from melted green glass. Genuine specimens, especially translucent ones with intricate surface sculpture, can command $500 to $1,000 per gram, rarer and costlier than gold by weight. Governments have now restricted mining in key Moravian fields, leaving museum collections as the last ethical sources for documentation. Meteoric cousins, Libyan desert glass, Egypt, Indochinite, Southeast Asia, and Australite, Australia, share the same cosmic origin, but none carry Moldavite's mythic resonance. To hold it is to touch geological evidence of a celestial event, not metaphor, but literal history. Moldavite is the embodiment of revelation through destruction. The meteor that shattered the earth also gave it something new, proof that endings can illuminate beginnings. It reminds us that impact is not the opposite of creation. Sometimes they are the same explosion viewed from different centuries. It is said the gods once gifted stones to humanity, but Moldavite suggests the opposite, that the heavens themselves once envied what the earth could become. The next and final stone will not burn, shimmer, or storm. It will simply be. In first place, sapphire, the gem of heaven and divine right. Not all gifts from the gods are meant to shine. Some are meant to remind us what cannot be owned. Sapphire is the crystalline form of corundum, second only to diamond in hardness, a lattice of aluminum and oxygen atoms so perfect that impurities become art. Trace iron and titanium replace a few atoms, and light bends into blue. The deeper the trace, the deeper the hue, until it resembles midnight remembering morning. Forged in metamorphic rocks and basalt flows, sapphires crystallize under immense pressure at the threshold between crust and mantle. In Kashmir, Sri Lanka, and Myanmar, these stones formed as the earth folded upon itself. Continents colliding, mountains rising, silence hardening into permanence. Every sapphire is the geometry of stillness, an ordered silence beneath chaos. Ancient Persians believed the sky's color came from a giant sapphire upon which the world rested. Hebrew priests placed sapphires on their breastplates as symbols of divine truth. In Buddhist texts, it was the stone of enlightenment, radiating calm clarity. To medieval kings, it was proof of divine appointment, blue light as covenant between heaven and ruler. When worn, it was said to reveal the wearer's heart. If corrupted, the stone's luster would fade. A silent judge, a witness in crystal form. But beyond religion and empire, sapphire represented a more subtle faith, not in gods, but in order. The belief that something in the universe holds steady even when everything else breaks. Temples held sapphires as offerings to celestial peace. Pilgrims carried them as protection against envy and illusion. In medieval courts, they sealed oaths. In monasteries, they sealed silence. In art, the virgin's robes shimmered with powdered sapphire, not to dazzle, but to still the mind. Blue, the color of infinity, became humanity's color for faith, not in what is seen, but in what endures unseen. Sapphire, like prayer, does not demand attention. It absorbs it. The most coveted sapphires come from Kashmir, discovered in 1881 in a remote Himalayan valley now long depleted. Their velvety, cornflower blue, caused by microscopic rudal inclusions scattering light like mist, can fetch $100,000 per carat. Sri Lankan stones glow with transparency, Burmese stones with fire. But synthetic sapphires, identical in chemistry yet soulless in silence, flood markets, a parable of modern hubris. Ethical sourcing today emphasizes origin transparency, mine-to-market documentation, no conflict labor, no heat diffusion undisclosed. The new commandments of a digital faith. In documentary footage, show slow macro passes, geological scans, museum vitrines. Let the viewer feel reverence, not desire. Sapphire is the color of truth when language fails. It does not promise eternity, it merely reflects it. It teaches that divinity is not in possession, but in perception, the quiet knowledge that beauty continues whether or not we look. Every legend began with sound, thunder, prayer, song. But the last truth the gods left us was silence. And in that silence, they hid the color of heaven. If these stones once spoke to gods, what might they say about us now? Tell us below, which gem still carries your story? They say the gods once sent their messages in stone, fragments of light scattered across the earth, waiting for someone patient enough to see them. Yet perhaps it wasn't the gods who gave us these gems, but the earth itself, reminding us that creation and divinity have always been the same act told in different tongues. From amber's frozen sun to sapphire's silent heaven, every gem we've uncovered carries a single truth: that beauty isn't found in possession, but in perception. Each crystal, each shimmer, each fracture, a quiet conversation between time and light. So when you look at a gemstone again, don't ask what it's worth. Ask what it remembers. If you've walked this far beside us, leave a comment saying "Gift of the Gods." Enjoying World of Gem for the next journey, where stones no longer just reflect the world, they reveal it.